Squeal! Fun! I have got myself a live one on the hook. It's just a Thursday night, and I ain't got nobody but my sparkling water. I got the asthma because I'm all choked up. The air has been poisoned. It's been a volcanic explosion. Recon Devea exploded from the 8th of September until the 16th, 17th, 18th, somewhere along in there. And I better grab my air conditioner wand to turn it on and off. So, long story short, Nigerian romance scammer appears on the horizon. He appears on the horizon like a shooting star, and I am here for it. Hey, Nitwit, I am so here for it. It has been a day where I've been laying up in the bed because I couldn't breathe. So feeling better tonight and being able to fight with these guys. I am romancing. Romancing the stupid, I guess you could call it, because they think that I am dumb enough to fall for their tricks. Okay, he's asked me, he kept messaging me. Hello, Suzanne. Hello, Suzanne. So, hello, Suzanne. Nice having you here on Facebook. How are you doing? All I said was hello. He said, how are you doing? I said, I am well. I'm just finishing up with phone calls. Someone who wants money. Yeah, because somebody did attempt to hit me up for large bucks this evening. And I basically gave them my stock answer, which is, I'll take it under advisement, which basically is my way of saying, ain't no way in hell I'm giving you any more money than I already have. One of the sad realities of living here in Costa Rica is most Americans who come here either arrive with too much or too little money. What do I mean by too much? A lot of them arrive, they don't have enough to pay for themselves. Some others arrive and they can't import it because they can't prove where it's from. And if you can't prove where your money's coming from, Costa Rican government's going to say you're out of luck. And then he replied with, okay, sorry, what do you mean by someone want money? Someone calling me up asking for another, let's bait the hook, $5,000. That's not what they were asking for. They were asking for a much lower sum. But it's somebody that my husband and I, we've agreed we're not giving this person another damn dime unless there is somebody who will be financially responsible for them, who will handle their money because they're clearly not able to do it themselves. So you get all these people here in Costa Rica that either don't have enough money, they have too much, can't bring it in, they can't prove. I always tell everybody, bring a couple of years of bank statements, bring a couple of years of your taxes, because you have to be able to prove to the Costa Rican government where your money came from, or they won't let you bring it in at all. Hey, Laura, I am getting ready. I'm preparing to mess with a romance scammer. I just fed him some nonsense. I just got off the phone with somebody who wants money from me here. Oh, you love the Amazon scammers. I've not had the Amazon ones. I've had these Nigerian romance scammers on Facebook. They're the ones that try to get me. The ones that try to get me on Twitter, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't getting them, why they were friending me and then not approaching. Well, I realized later I have I have all my contacts set to don't let anybody contact me if they don't know me. Hey, little mousy girl, I hope you're feeling better. I heard you had been in the hospital. I hope you're feeling better. Okay, let's see what this guy has to say. Nothing. Oh, dude, please don't be a dud. Please don't be a dud. I haven't had anybody in a while. My husband hates when I do this, so we're not going to tell him. He's away at church tonight with all his scammers. One of the things I want to say about his church lately is he has a whole bunch of people that are trying to work him for money. That was just somebody I was talking to from the church at once a month. And I am not everybody's checkbook. I'm sorry. So glad to be home. I know you are. There's nothing I hate worse about going to the hospital than wanting home and wanting to be released so I can go home. The Amazon ones call our landline and I string them along. Oh, those. I've gotten a few of those on my US number. I have a US number here that rings my Costa Rican house phone. It rings my Costa Rican cell phone. I have a US cell phone, but I don't use the chip here because Verizon wants like $21 a day to use it here. And so the Amazon ones, I usually will block them as soon as they start. The one I keep getting over and over is, we're calling you about your car warranty. Well, consider my car before this one was a 19-year-old. He responds, is this your friend? No, this is someone I go to church with. So we had a 19-year-old Honda CRV that we just drove till the wheels fell off. And that happened in Arnall recently, as you well know. If you've been following me a long time, it happened back in July. I was kind of, no, not in July. Where was it? I'm so mixed up on the dates. It happened in May. And I was pretty livid over it because I wanted it replaced pretty quickly. And we had the money to replace it, but my husband fumbled around, looked at some reports, talked to everybody before, and then we went off for the wedding. And I was very livid that I was coming back alone with no car. And then my so-called friend said, oh, I'll lend you one of my cars. I got here and she said no. So I was stuck here for a week and a half with no car. Not a pleasant experience. Okay, dude, why are, okay. See what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to set this so it will tell me every time. They call your landline. So we bought a new car, and that was a really awesome thing to be able to do here. We decided with new instead of used because it turns out in Costa Rica, if you buy a used car, there are no protections like there are in the States. There are no limit laws. And they tell you after you drive it off the lot, you're out of luck. Even with a brand new car, you only have to make things good for 30 days. But it came with the warranty that you normally get with Nissan, so that wasn't a problem. So they call the landline, they call this, they call the American number. It comes on all three. And it's like, we've been trying to contact you about your warranty. Are you aware the warranty has expired on your car? It's like, at first it was like, well, my car is 19 years old. There's no warranty whatsoever. Click. Now it's, my car is brand spanking new. Click. I get those guys. What is this guy doing? Oh, I see. What is the reason for more money? I paid for her to have surgery last week. She claims she needs more, which is exactly what she claimed, but I'm feeding him very fake numbers. Gonna make him think that I have money, which is always funny because if you do that with these guys, they automatically start going hardcore press. And you know me, when I mess with them, I usually come up with a narrative, a funny story that I string them along on. I'm not 100% sure what it's going to be this time. I may have to go back to using one that I've used, a bait I've used successfully in the past, where I claim to have been a abductee by aliens. That one's always a fun one. Right up until you start telling them, hey, I threw my underwear away and I believe in running nude and all this. So if you freak them out too bad, they do run. So I'm going to string him along for a bit. Let's see. What kind of surgery is that? Okay. I was going to say hip fracture, but here I'm going to say nose job. Let's tell him that she had a nose job. Let's invent something fun. She had a nose job so that she could fit in better with her kind of people. Let's just throw that out there. Have you gone to see the person at the hospital so you know that she is telling the truth? I took her to the hospital. My. And the thing is, this guy is using somebody else's photographs, some middle-aged man. He doesn't understand. I've already taken screen grabs of all of his photographs. His new profile is now at 419 Eater. I've already turned him in. For a while, I started a blog where I was putting all the profiles, but then I was like, no, I don't. That's too much like work. I don't want anything that is like work when it's fun like this. Let's see. Oh, I see. I am so sorry about that. So what are you up to? Let's see if we can extract before we start torturing. Maybe I'll tell him that maybe I'll tell him I'm the madam of the House of Ill Repute that's across the highway here. There is a House of Ill Repute very near me, within about a block, not a block, a mile. And it just makes me laugh every time I drive past it because of the sad sacks you see hanging around there on every evening. They're lining up around before 5:30 when this joint opens to come in there. And the guys who clean my pool, they tell me about what girls are in there that week, where they're from, what they look like. It's always really interesting to pick their brains. Prostitution is 100% legal in Costa Rica. You're supposed to be licensed and registered and all of that, even though I know there are a lot of them that aren't. I kind of have mixed feelings about that. Well, part of me thinks, if you're a lady and you're getting paid and you want to be paid and you want to do this and nobody's drugging you or trafficking you, go for it. But it never works. Oh, the House of the Rising Sun, that's a good one. Well, I'm okay. Just texting with you at the moment, also working on paperwork too. What type of paper work? I haven't started my working night yet. Let's bait that hook. It's interesting. This guy, his name that he's using is Basic White Man. First name, Basic White Man, first name as his second name, as his name. I have some issues with prostitution, not so much with strippers. Laura, that's the thing. I do too. Because I know, like here, the place that's across the highway is almost entirely made up of girls from El Salvador. And you can't tell me that they're willingly doing this. And I've seen some of them. Some are gorgeous. A lot of times they're not so gorgeous. They're kind of dumpy and frumpy. But every now and then I'll see some incredibly breathtaking girls. And I'm thinking, would you do something else if you had opportunity? Because it does tend to exploit girls. They think that that is their only option. And it's not. Now here, where there's not as much job opportunity for Costa Rican women, much less El Salvadorians or Nicaraguans. And let me tell you, Civil War type actions going on in the last 5 years. Well, 4.5 maybe, that people that are really struggling for every dollar. They are struggling for every single dollar. They're selling family antiques for pennies on the dollar. Of course, it's illegal to buy those things from them, import them here. But that doesn't stop very many people. We're getting ready to have to do our border run that we do every 3 months here very shortly. And then I've got to fly to Louisiana to see my mother and see what's going on with her because she has started acting all kinds of there's stuff going on with her. I've got to go there and see what's going on. It's the only thing with these guys is they have two or three of us going at the same time. They're going to be really slow and they're going to go after the one they think that has the money. I have a couple of friends that love being a stripper. They do have past trauma, and this is a way they're trying to get their power back. I think it's an excellent way for a woman to have power, to take their power back. I don't see anything wrong with it, even though if you look at like Love After Lockup this last season, we didn't do reviews this season. We didn't do last season because my husband keeps saying, I can't watch this show anymore. It's gotten just awful. They had this character on there, this lady, I guess it wouldn't be a character, a lady whose name was Branwen. And her boyfriend, fiance, husband, she married him coming right out. It's a guy named Chaz. And it was a ridiculous, ridiculous situation. She came out of prison, gorgeous girl, but she wasn't really a girl anymore. She's 40. So when you hit that age and things start sagging a little bit and all that, it becomes hard to maintain a life in that world. It just does, because gravity catches up with all of us, even if we're having plastic surgery done. And like I told him, okay. Oh my God, this guy's the most typical, ridiculous one on the planet. Well, I'm an orthopedist working with the United Nations here in Syria. I help in taking care of kids from the orphanage, and orphanages in capitals, and injured military personnel. But at the moment, I'm working more on paperwork, sending emails, and making some documentations. What's your profession? Okay, now here's why that's bullshit. We have nobody in Syria right now. We have no military, no U.S. military in Syria. There's no peacekeeping by any American anything. I'm sure there are orphanages. That I know. There are orphanages and things. And Syria is an effed up situation that I could go on about all night, because when we have these strong men like we have in Nicaragua that are just making everything a big unholy mess. Why are they always doctors? Because they think you're going to leap at that. They think you're going to go, oh, doctor, I hit the jackpot. So I don't think I'm going to tell him I'm a prostitute. I might try out cult leader again, because that's always a fun one. I work as the leader of a religious community here. Okay, now that's just vague enough for him not to catch on to what I'm doing. And him is just, it is on like Donkey Kong. They're always doctors because they think that middle-aged and or my age women are going to jump at that like hungry fish at power bait. They think that. They think we're all so desperate for a man that we will just do all that crap. And I don't know about you, but I'm not. Even if my husband were to die tomorrow or run off from somebody from the house of ill repute, it would be sad. I'd cry, yeah. But something, I would not replace him. That would not be something I would ever be interested in doing in my lifetime. I guess you can say once you've had the best, you don't want to fool with the rest. That's part of it. The other part is I've just reached a point where I don't put up with any else's BS in my house, because as it is, sometimes we knock heads over stupid stuff. We're having furniture built right now, and we're not agreeing over much of it. I really had to put the screws to him to get the island being built for the kitchen. Some women are so pathetic. Look at Mrs. Hogg and the like. Some women can't be on their own. Shelley, you got that right. And I'm afraid for Mrs. Hogg. That's why I'm friends with her and why I sit back and I don't say a whole lot to her about her. I'm afraid for her. I'm just going to throw that out there. There's so many things that could go haywire, and I'm afraid for her because I don't think she has a lot of resources. I'm going to throw that out there too. I used to do social work, and I think at some point things are going to go haywire. And I'm not even saying abusive, but she doesn't have a real good track record for relationships. And some women don't. They think that they're going to go from man to man to man. I don't know. I'm seeing red flags, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to put this aside. I'm going to put it aside, my annoyance over her not producing a baby or explaining what happened. Okay, this is getting stupid. How nice. I see why you're being so called for help. Smiles. How long have you been working on that? For over, how old am I now? Okay, so I'm pulling up the arbitrary number of 35 years. I told him I've been working in the field 35 years because if you take all the time that I've been in these problematic religious cults mixed with getting out and writing for NLQ, it's going to be somewhere in the 30 to 35 year range. I joined, I think it was 92 or 3. I didn't leave until 2007. 2007 to now. It's quite a long time. And it's hard for me to believe that I actually fell face first in that crap, that I ever fell for it in the first. Hey, T King, I'm torturing some poor guy. I'm about to torture him. A Nigerian scammer. And it's obvious from looking right at his profile that he's a scammer. His first name is his typical first name, real white bread. The last name is a white bread first name. And he is a doctor in Syria, he claims, working on U.S. soldiers and the like. So he's telling me stuff that I can easily debunk because they aren't there. The government is not. There's no U.S. troops in Syria. I wish these guys would figure out where the U.S. troops actually are and play that card instead of coming up with this crap. T King, it's a good thing it happened now that I'm awake and my asthma is backing off. Who are behind these? These are Nigerians mostly, not all, but a lot of them are Nigerians. They're from other parts of Africa now too. I've seen some that have been based out of some of the Arabic states. I've seen a few that are Russian. Basically, what they do is they know some small English. They have the script they're running, and they're going to try to romance you and tell you how lovely you are and how you're this and that. Now, I've not had one be overtly familiar and overtly flirty for a long, long time. The next time I get one, I'm going to be overtly gushy, over the top, ridiculous, bad to get back to me. It's just ridiculously. So I'm going to tell you the volcano tale. I don't know when the volcano is going to blow, but we have a string of volcanoes just northwest. I'm northeast of Liberia. Riccondevea is one of them. And every now and then it grumbles. And when it grumbles and it lets off ash and sulfur, blows west. Once it hits Tamarindo, I am just on that floor crying on some days. And the last couple of days, I've been just miserable with it. I was okay yesterday. I even went swimming. This morning I get up and I tried to run to the place where they have marble and granite and these other countertops and try and pick one for this kitchen island I'm getting built. It was just, it was miserable. I had to come right back in. I had to use my asthma meds. So this one is being really generic. Oh, that's quite a long time. I have no idea how and what the nature of your job looks like, but you sound like it's a nice job for you and you love it. Is it kind of stressing? Only when people want money or attention. Do you do surgeries? Let's see if we can lure him out to talk more about his job, since he's asking me about mine. I was in a large earthquake in the 70s. I was 11. I thought I was going to die. Oh my goodness. We have little earthquakes here. We've only had a couple that I would call even, where they shook everything and we heard the rumble. We've only had a couple of those. And our house is apparently built for these things. Unlike my house in the States, when we had a like a 5.8, 6.0 type earthquake in the part of Virginia I lived in, and it created all kinds of interesting earthquake cracks in my house that I had to have fixed before I could sell the house. Here we have a few little earthquake cracks, but it shakes, it roars. We don't get anything. The way that the houses are constructed here, I think, is a little sturdier than what we had, even though it's concrete blocks covered with more concrete. So I don't know how they hold up for bad earthquakes. I think if we have a bad earthquake, we're going to be kind of screwed, because this house, every room has picture windows, and all it would take is a bad shake and the windows would pop out and break. So who knows? But if that happens, it happens. I'm trying to also get a sunroom built onto the front of my house and to have my bathroom extended so I can put in a bidet and a garden tub. Those are two things I still want that I don't have. I'm old. What am I going to spend my money on? But foolish stuff for myself, and that's it. I want to have the front wall taken out and it all expanded. Come on, dude. Come on, come on, come on. Now, see, that's another thing about these guys. They have to be talking to 2 or 3 women at least at the same time. Smiles. Why do they always want money? Is this money your personal money or from your organization? You sound pretty much like a nice woman, which I expect you to be. Oh, honey, you just don't even know. I can be nice. I can be sweet, and I can be sour. Organizational money. But I am the organization. So the money is mine. Shooting off the first red flag. Let's see if he goes for it. Bidet changed my life. Mine is a DIY. Now, see, I have a DIY one clamped onto my toilet. I like it. I want a real one. And we looked at a house that had the most amazing bathroom of all times, and I would have bought that house, but my husband was like, no. It was on my list of 2 or 3 that I really liked. The only thing is it was 2-story. It was 4,000 square feet. 2,000 of that 4,000 square feet was the master bedroom and bath. So you had this enormous Italian villa on top of this mountain. You could see the Pacific on 3 sides of the house. It was up on top. So it wasn't getting very hot. Had no air conditioners, but you had no need for air conditioners. The bathroom was the most amazing thing you'd ever seen. It was all tiled in that dark blue, like a cobalt blue. One end was just shower heads coming out. You stand there and have 10 shower heads blowing on your body. And I've always wanted, ever since I've seen that, it's like, I got to have a little taste of that. I've got to have a bathroom with that kind of shower and with that kind of, and I don't mean 10 shower heads, maybe 3 would work. And with a tub, because I don't have a tub here. We have a hot tub, but I'm now allergic to whatever chemicals they put in it, so I can't sit in the stupid thing. So I need a tub I can sit in too. But anyway, this bathroom was insane. They had 2 toilets, 2 bidets. They had this long counter with big mirrors and everything, and 2 sinks. So you would have visitors in there. And I just thought this is the most fabulous place. It was actually a pretty reasonable price too. Plus they threw in a truck, I think it was. And my husband was just like, no, 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 because the road that we had to take to get there was rutted and pitted and fallen apart. And it was the last house on the finca. So it was all the way in the back. And it was a long ride over pitted roads. It was at least 20 miles to the gas station or the grocery store. And so my husband, Mr. Suburban, who was raised in suburbia, was like, nope. If we cannot get out to the gas station and the grocery store within 10 minutes, I'm not willing to move there. So that kind of blew that out of the water, which is a shame because there was another house I really liked that would have been perfect too, but it had an upstairs and it was also a long way. That one was right on the beach, though. You look out, you could see the beach from the front of the house and from the bedrooms and things. And it was a 2-minute walk to the beach. I mean, you leave the door, hang a left, go past the condo building, and there you were. But I couldn't talk him into that one. It's a shame because that one was less than a year old. It was just gorgeous. But okay, come on, come on, come on. There were some magical places that were available. This one was too. When the gates opened and we saw this place, we're like, we both fell in love. All one level, so nobody has to go up and down any stairs with old knees. Okay. And yes, I do surgeries. I'm specialized in the operation of the knee and the ankle. And then replying to me about organizational money. That's true. Well, it's good. You're there to see and help these people with all their needs. I tend to be reserved with the money because I need it. Oh, come on, come on, come on. So it was quite magical. Some of the properties we looked at, there were also a couple of, oh, hell knows. I looked at one place that was 5 minutes from the beach, not in Langosta, but in the next community over. What is the name of that place? Avellanas. So we looked at Avellanas. There was a place that was 5-minute walk to the beach. We opened the gates. We walked in. They had painted the interior of the walls, the cement walls, this color. And then they had used like you cut out stencils. They had it on the walls and they had painted fake ferns in a bright blue. And I was like, ugh. Then we saw the house. The house had been a fishing shack that they converted. You couldn't walk in the living room. The living room house had been a fishing shack that they converted. You couldn't walk in the living room. The living room, kitchen, and bedroom would fit in my bedroom here. And this bedroom here, it's pretty good size. You got a dressing room over there. And past that, there is a sitting area too. So those houses were just, that one was just not right. I saw it and I was just horrified. And the swimming pool was like 9 feet by 9 feet. Oh, come on, come on. So that one I was like a solid no. And the realtor kept asking me, why is this one a no? It's like, look at how much junk is crammed in it. You're telling me they're selling it with all this stuff in it? No, 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 no. I don't want any part of this. I don't want to be part of the bright green wall that's kind of scary looking. The bedroom had just enough room for a double bed and That was it. The rest was passed through to the back room, which was an old storage room that had been converted. There was no sheetrock or anything that even bother the walls. It was just like something you might think you'd see somebody in a crime scene. It was not good. And they had all these built-in bunk beds. They had 7 built-in bunk beds in that room. I said, "Oh, this is your guest room." It's like, "Oh, hell no. Hell no." And yeah, that one they wanted more than they wanted for the Italian castle. I guess it's location, location, location. Come on, dude. You're boring me. Don't bore me because I will tell you off and ditch. So there was all of that. So I'm going to change the subject. How many of you looked at Renelle's video today? I watched it and it's just breaking my heart for her because she's right. Unirock is using her kids and their stories of the racism they've experienced. And I know damn good and well they have experienced quite a bit. I just know. Hey, Katie. Hola. Okay, he responded. I understand, but what you're doing is nice. God will always give back to you in various ways, so don't you worry about it. Givers never lack. And I'm saying, I hope so. I have things I want to accomplish. Traveling and such. And if you ask me where I'm traveling to, I'm going to say Mars. I'm just going to throw the crazy out there. Unirock is a piece of crap. And I want to call him Looney Rock. Looney Rock, Looney Rock, Looney Rock. Here's the thing I want to throw out there about the Steve thing. Okay, you see, I've got glasses. It's reflecting my stupid ring light, which I've broken the cover for. And so it's kind of that live stream that he is talking about, that Renelle was on, and Aaron was on, and Steve was on. Steve was wearing headphones, so he didn't even have any sound going out from his computer. He told me that it was something from the television. His girlfriend was in the other room watching TV, and that I can understand. But here's the other thing. Here's the thing that makes me believe that he didn't do what he's being accused of is because of this with the glasses. You could see if somebody's looking at porn, okay, and we know this from Dear Catherine. If somebody's wearing glasses, what they're looking at on the computer will reflect back. I cannot tolerate the sound of his voice or KJ. So gross, all of it. Shelly, I agree. I absolutely freaking agree. I was ready to punch my computer just having to listen to his voice and looking at him with that do-rag on his head and the vape pen and his muscle shirt. I hesitate to say muscle because I certainly saw no muscle there at all. You will be blessed, my beautiful friend. When you read the book of Psalms 41, verse 1, you'll find out the importance of what you're doing. Oh, Lordy, he's going in the Jesus direction, which is not at all how I expected him to go. I got to look up all the verses that are dirty now and give them to him. He's very smug. He's very untalented. He seems to be a guy who is available to the highest bidder. What do I mean by that? Well, back when he jumped on the KJ train where he was promoting her back years ago, a couple of years ago, when he was defending her in the Tati lawsuit, at one point he said a lot of stuff against KJ, which Renelle showed. And Todd Paulson made a comment about they didn't pay him all that money for him to go against her. So by saying that, it just makes me think that they did pay this guy to promote KJ and to shout down her people against her, or as he calls us, the caters. as I like to say, Pitchfork Nation, because that's what Todd Paulson called us. And I kind of like that. I kind of dig that because, oh, the classic monster movies, Frankenstein, um, Dracula. You have all the people in the village coming up with their torches, coming up to the castle, shaking with fear, going, kill the monster. We're kind of like that sometimes in the anti-KJ community. So I don't really pay any mind to him. Something has to happen soon regarding KJ. It just has to. Any court news? Shelly, the only thing I have seen recently is that 7M has asked for a summary judgment because she has missed response times in answering the lawsuit. She just missed them. So they're asking for a summary judgment to take place. And it may well take place. If she doesn't meet all the guidelines, they may very well say, okay, guilty. Judgment for the plaintiff for $10 million or whatever he's asking. What type of work do you find the most fulfilling? Notice that I've asked him a bunch of questions about his work and he's barely answered me. A summary judgment is when somebody is supposed to respond to a court date and report to stuff. Yeah. And report like they have their answer is due and they don't give an answer. Then the person who is suing can ask for a summary judgment. My understanding is asking the judge to rule on it because the other person is dragging their feet. They won't cooperate at all. Default judgment. Yep. She's not answered the lawsuit. I'm waiting for the papers to drop. Somebody speculated that she's out of money and she hasn't been able to pay Graham Cracker, and that may well be what's going on. Her views have gone down. She hasn't had as much content. She's jumped from platform to platform to platform to platform, and there's been nothing that I could see going on with any of those platforms. Okay, I got to pull this up so I know exactly when this fool answers me. And he has not. They were asking in the millions. I forgot exactly how much. I had looked at the paperwork that thoroughly because, quite frankly, I'm kind of exhausted about everything to do with KJ because she's just like, I can't even begin to describe what she's like. But she's every kind of awful. It fills my heart with joy to hear Miss Renelle saying all those things about me, knowing that I'm not lying about anything with KJ because KJ has said so much horrible stuff in her live streams. Well, no, stupid me. I trained her at Patheos. I should have just kicked her ass to the curb and said, the minute she started being a lot to deal with, I should have just said, no, I'm sorry. I have my own writing career. $1 million for each count and punitive damages. This can get big in a hurry. And yeah, I don't know where she's going to come up with that kind of money. Miss I have business insurance. Whoa, you'd think she would cry, pour, or grovel or something. Shelly, you think she would. I don't know what's going on exactly, but I suspect she's filling her depends over there. I suspect whatever is happening is spooking the hell out of her because when she's quiet like this, she's the most dangerous. I'm just going to say that right now. Everybody keeps asking me why I don't sue her. Well, I'll tell you exactly why I don't sue her. Because there's not going to be anything left when this is over with. When you sue somebody, you have to be able to put a monetary value on what they've done to you. Now, if she's used so much of my material, I would have to go through each posting and say, okay, I made X amount of dollars on that. I made X amount of dollars on that, and put together a list. And some of it would be really hard to quantify, like my video on how I got out of my old church. That's up on Facebook as my tagged video. I don't know how many times that thing's been viewed. I'm busy. I don't have time to be running around and looking at numbers all the time. I leave that for people who are doing this as a career, who want to make a ton of money. I don't do it for stuff like this, or playing with these stupid Nigerians, for talking about my experiences with my church, my old church. And it's been a real ride, because 3 years ago I laid out my book, what it was going to be about, and laid out some of the chapters and some of the ideas. I had no idea that when I started, I was going to start remembering, and it was going to be re-experiencing some of the PTSD on some of it. So it's been a long process. And Uni was mocking me about that the other day, not understanding that I wrote for Pathos for 10 years. That, 10 years and 7 or 8 months. Okay, here we go. My work. I don't know how others see my profession as a doctor, not specializing on myself as an orthopedist, but doctors, nurses as a whole. I think we contribute a lot to society by giving our best to save people's life when being called upon. We go extra miles to make sure we are there for people when they need us the most, and that's what makes it special for me. Also, there are other fulfilling jobs people would like, but I feel my profession is the best for me. How about you? I am happy. I'm going to tap this out of my scoopy tablet. And fulfilled and oh, come on. This is why I don't use this. Venerated. Not really a word. Oh, yeah, it is. So I'm not going to tell him much. Hey, Grace Peter, I've got one of these guys on the hook, and he's being really slow. Who's claiming to be a doctor in Syria with the U.S. Army. We don't even have people in Syria anymore. So he's not there. He says he's an orthopedic surgeon. These guys always say they're orthopedic surgeons. And I asked him what he specialized in. He said knees. Knees, and was it backs? Knees and something. Knee and ankle. Okay. The orthopedic surgeons I know from Virginia, it's usually one part and one part only. And they push you off to the next guy. I had at the orthopedic doctor's office I used to go to, the back guy would pass me off to the knee guy, who would pass me off to the foot guy, who would pass me off to the ankle guy. It was just pretty crazy. So I'll throw him some weirdness here. I have it. I keep throwing little hints of weirdness. So I think I'm going to have to go really weird on this. We worship Ra, the sun god, and the goddess of I'm a slow typer on this thing. Snarling leopard. So he's also said how nice, how important to have a passion for what you do, and I'm happy you are fulfilled with what you do. We're just playing circle jerk now. He just keeps throwing out the same things over and over again. So I'm going to throw out something extremely weird and see how he reacts. These guys just make me laugh. So silly. So going back to the whole thing with yeah, Will. So I'm giving him stuff that's hard. I'm using words like venerated, stuff that he's not going to run into. And it will take him 15 minutes with the translator. That's part of it too, because sometimes I don't have real good English. This one seems to have better English than most, but he may be using a translator service on Google Translate, which I found using for Spanish is not the most accurate. So back to KJ, she's very silent. I think her lawyer has told her to be silent. I think that's a good thing. I think she is freaking out, thinking she's about to be sued by Miss Letitia Bias and that whole family, which I have no idea where they're going with that. There was somebody that was claiming that they were suing KJ. Yeah, come on, dude. This has been 50 minutes now, and you just keep running in circles. I don't know. I don't know about any of that. Here's what I do know. We had two people who were kind of trolly, who came from the Justice for Marvon community. It says, oh, I see. I don't know much about that. I'd be pleased to know more about it if you're willing to share. Letitia. Let me talk about Letitia. I'm going to ignore this fool for a second. Letitia. They had two people that came out of the Justice for Marvon group on Facebook. One of them just was starting all these Facebook groups and taking people's anti-KJ stuff and sharing it. She was even using Unirock. So I said, girl, he is problematic. You don't need to be sharing that. She got smart with me, even though she used a ton of my videos. And I was just like, nope. And I didn't talk to her anymore. And I pretty much said on Twitter, I said, leave this one alone. And I put her name. That was Mrs. Cartman Crane. She changed it to Mrs. Petty Crane and proceeded to get stupid. I'm just going to throw that out there. Stupid. So then we had somebody that popped up after I said that Cartman Crane was ridiculous, that popped up and started telling me in live chats that I was ridiculous, that I was harming her and all this just nonsense, and saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, I freely admit, I do not follow the Marvon McRae thing, just the most basics. It's a really sad story. You know, he's now going to a care facility and very likely to be in like a vegetative or comatose state for the rest of his life. And that's just tragic. If you ask me, it's tragic for his wife. It's tragic for his kids, his mother, his stepmother, his father, everybody connected to this. It's a tragedy. So to have this woman just pop up in chat and started just throwing crap at me, I was like, So I tried talking to her. Big mistake. Her name was Erica Genevieve. And she started popping up on Twitter and trying to fight with me and saying all this stuff about I was impacting her financial health. So I kept asking her, how am I doing that? How am I impacting your financial bottom line? Explain it to me. Can you explain it to me? Well, she never did. She's like this little joker. It's just going around and around and around and around and around and around in circles with no answers, no proof. You know, in Pitchfork Nation, we like receipts. That's why I'm so irked with Unirock and this whole narrative that pretend fashionista is pushing about Steve in some porn video. I don't buy it because, like I said, you would see it reflected on his glasses if he was doing that. So this Erica Genevieve just got crazy and crazier. I just said, block. When someone goes crazy with me, I just do that. I wouldn't want to live like that. I have a living will that says pull the plug. Christine, so do I. Pull the plug. My kids know. My husband knows. I don't know if my family in Louisiana knows. They may be a little squirrely about that because when my father had a massive stroke in 1999, he had a massive stroke. He was taking a shower. And they think he felt it coming on because they found him on the floor. He was falling halfway between the tub and the floor, and he was clutching the towel from the towel rack when they found him. They got him to Louisiana, and be one of the people who was in agreement with stepmother to pull the plug on him. He had type C hep, so we couldn't donate any of his organs, so we knew that was not going to be an option. He was 61 years old when this happened. So I've been frightened turning 61 because he, his mother, and his mother's mother all died at 61 of strokes. So we had to all be in agreement. We had to sign the paperwork saying, yes, we all agreed that we're not going to hold anybody responsible. We'll pull the plug. My family in Louisiana called me a ghoul for this because everybody else ran away crying. I stayed with him while the hour and a half it took him to die. I held his hand. I talked to him the entire time. And I would encourage anybody to get the chance to do that for your loved one. I believe they can hear. About 2 weeks before he died, he told me of a dream he had that was exactly how he died. He said in his dream he could hear all of us. And he knew we were there, and we were not thinking he was there. So I treated him like he was there until he flatlined. And it was a very peaceful death. I could feel the Spirit of the Lord just all over the room. It was just great. The Holy Spirit was there. You felt her soul leave her body. Shelley, that was the same. And this was the most comforting thing. So I'm sitting in there and I'm holding his hand and I'm telling him how awesome he is, how much I love him. And I'm feeling the Holy Spirit all over the room, and I'm just like grinning. So my hideous Louisiana family is telling me, oh, you're a ghoul. No, I'm not a ghoul. I try to be a kind and compassionate person, except with Nigerian romance scammers and Unirock, maybe even Katie. Even though I do worry about her, I feel sorry for her many times. It wasn't scary or gruesome. It was lovely, actually. It actually is. So the Marvin McRae family, they've got a lot of stuff going on. They don't need us throwing ourselves in the middle of there. So we have KJ who's inserted herself and started this crap about donations. And again and again and again, I talk about this. If you give money to people, either a donation or a loan, you have no say in how they spend that money. They could spend that money any way you imagine. And the minute it leaves your hand, it stops being your business. So to ask for a refund because you're upset that this woman who said she was going to hire an attorney may have used the money to travel, she may have used it for meals while she was out traveling, is just petty and stupid. I'm going to throw that out there with it too, because I think I doubt she used it for anything extremely luxurious. Molly Golightly said that she hoped Letitia would have a steak dinner while giving her money, while donating. And that's what started this whole nonsense off. Katie egged on people to ask for return of their donations. She really asserted herself. So then we had Erica, who inserted herself and said she was filing a restraining order against Katie, and Katie had all these restraining orders, 14 restraining orders, and I'm like, now wait a minute, all you guys are saying, restraining orders, you're listening to a troll, you're listening to a woman. And I looked at, after I blocked Erica, I looked her up, and there was a Facebook group dedicated to hating her under her real first name, her real last name. Erica is her real first name. I'm not going to say what her last name is, but they'd been tracking her from community to community to community because she was just a very less successful version of Katie Joy. So for her to say she was suing Katie Joy when she had a reputation for faking documents, faking legal documents in these different communities and faking saying she's suing this one or that one, was just comedy. And knowing she was in everybody's DMs, I was just laughing because my close friends, I'd already said, hey, this one's a little on the loony side. You may want to avoid this one. And yeah, she gave her personal dollars for a steak dinner that night they arrived. Molly Golightly made it clear it was from her money. Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that. I saw that too. And So what KJ did was just evil and wrong, just evil and wrong, and caused this avalanche of hate and stupidity. So Erica's not suing anybody. There's not 14 or 15 restraining orders against her. She may turn out to be the Nat of the 7M lawsuit. Absolutely. And somebody said that, oh, she's Nat. No, she's not Nat. I know who she is, but she's not Nat. She's just a very unsuccessful, frustrated housewife who acts out on the internet and has gone into all these communities and created drama. Same sort of thing. If she was Nat, she would be genuinely evil. And she seems to be too inept to be genuinely evil. She didn't start a run on donation money by saying that somebody was misusing it to have steak and lobster and bathe in caviar or any of that. And lesser evil. If Katie is a higher level of evil, then Erica Genevieve is a lower level of evil. Then Erica Genevieve is a lower level of evil. She's incompetent evil. So I've left this guy stewing long enough. I need to just go ahead and boot him because it's obviously he's playing the long con, and I don't have time for the long con. The long con just pisses me off. So I'm about to tell him he's been posted and exposed everywhere. And I hope he has a wonderful life lying on the internet. And I hope he loses money left and right. I hope nobody falls for him whatsoever, any of that. So it's all just such a mess. And you have to think all this mess started out at KJ. She lied for Kyle Curtis when he decided to take over the non sequitur show from Steve. And God knows there are enough people out there that hate Steve because they think he's brusque, they think that he is rude, they think that he looks down on them. There are people that have reasons that they're hating on Steve that make more sense than, oh, he threatened to do this, he said he did that. And I had one of Katie's supporters say something to me about I was lying about, oh, I know what it was. I tried, but I can't listen to that. I can't listen to that voice very long. It's just like, oh God, no. I thought maybe she was nonsense for a while, but obviously not. Nonsense is someone else entirely. It's one of her little stands. One of her supporters posted a comment on the thing I said where I don't believe that Steve was listening to porn, why I didn't believe it and why I thought that they were going after Steve. So one of the anti-Stevers who I've never heard of before posted on the YouTube channel. And I just laughed when I saw the comment because it was ridiculous. It was a lot of just ridiculous nonsense. And at the end, this person said that I had embedded an image in their mind for me laughing over KJ saying that Stephen tried to show her his penis in a room, and she was making it seem they were in a room together when they weren't. They were in a cyber room together, and he was in California and she was in Minnesota, and he did no such thing. And just said, Steve, you must be hung like a mule because you were reaching all the way to Minnesota. So I've joked over that. That's a joke. I always tell Steve, you've got a magic wang. Well, I referred to it. And this person said that I had harmed them by implanting this harmful pornographic image in their mind. And I'm just like, that was not my intent at all. So yeah, Christine, what was the highlights? Because I've just been so busy. I've been up in the bed, sick as a dog with a stupid asthma, which I absolutely hate. And I just have missed out on a lot of stuff. So when I emerge and I'm starting to listen to stuff and put it together, I'm just like, I can't believe they said that. I can't believe they did that. Every time you think that a new low cannot be reached, somebody does. It's like they dig a new level, and it's kind of gross. It's like watching. I heard that she had gaslit everybody, but I didn't hear any details. Just that she had spun a completely different narrative and lied about it and gaslit and said that she was. And I gotta say this before I go. Okay, she has made so many claims of being swatted, and I've never seen any evidence of that at all. She's had people show up who are police and law enforcement and say, hey, yeah, we got a report, a swatting report, blah, blah, blah. And I've never seen that happen. I have a girlfriend who was swatted. Well, kind of like swatted. What it was she didn't know this about her husband. Her husband was a bad dude. She knew a few things about him, but she didn't know everything. They lived in the Northern Virginia area. She worked for the FBI, for Christ's sake. And she was working for the FBI. She was gone 9 to 5 every day working. She didn't know what he was doing. She assumed he was working. Well, he was working their Verizon kiosk that they owned at a mall, their little Verizon store. But he was not just selling phones. He was selling all kinds of drugs and even weapons through there. So the ATF, they got a tip on him that he was at his home and that he had held somebody hostage. The one officer in a living room that looked like he was photographing it, trying to tell people she only blocks trolls. When people in the chat were calling her out, all of a sudden she had to go because her son was on his way home from school. Oh, I'd heard that too. So she's claiming that she was swatted. Well, somebody called law enforcement on my friend's husband and said that he was in there with weapons and the kids and he killed the wife. So ATF, different federal agencies, you could come up with your own acronyms for them. But the ones that look at drug dealers, big drug dealers, were called in when this happened. And they did a full-scale raid on their house in the middle of the night. She tells me, she says, 1 minute I'm sleeping, the next minute I have ATF agents swinging through the windows, coming in the house, breaking the windows and running in with weapons, drawn weapons. And she's told me about it in great detail. And the one thing I can say is she and her children, still to this day, this happened over 10 years ago, are traumatized from this. This is not something that you would be as cavalier about, that you would be talking about, oh yeah, the police said I was swatted. So it is not like that at all. It would be a traumatic thing. You think that she's a mess now, she'd be a much more hot mess. It took my friend at least 5 years of therapy before she was able to even start picking up the reins of her life, divorce this jackass, and move on. She lost everything. Because if they can prove that your things are the ill-gotten gains of drugs, they take it. So she went from being a fairly well-to-do lady in the DC area with a nice 5-bedroom home, like a weekend place in Virginia Beach. They had jet skis. They had a number of things. They lost it all. It was all seized as the profits of drug money, and her kids were lucky to get their clothing, to even get all of their clothing out of the house. It just could not have been more horrific of a thing. So every time I hear KJ claim that she's been swatted, I just cringe and I just want to scream and holler and beat the computer screen, because she's clearly not ever been swatted. She's trotted that claim out with everybody she's ever fought with, including Todd Chrisley, and said in the paperwork she was accusing him of swatting her. And the judge just dismissed that and said that's a civil matter. So all the claims of swatting and defaming, that was all civil. Just said, I am not dealing with that. And I kind of laughed when they did that. I am kind of raving tonight. I had real bad asthma earlier today. Yesterday, I had a halfway decent day. The day before was real bad asthma. The volcano blew up. Between the 8th and the 18th, it was spewing fumes about an hour due east of here. And then when the winds blow across and it blows the gases, I get sick as a dog. Raving to Suzanne, so I feel ya. Yeah. You missed the whole internet thing with this guy. This guy was too dull. I'm just going to go ahead and drop kick him in a few minutes. So I've been ranting and raving about KJ saying that she has been swatted over and over and explaining what happens when you get swatted. They come in there with guns blazing, they knock in your windows and doors, and they come in there. They come in there and they shoot anybody who gives them any aggro whatsoever. If she'd been swatted, she'd be lucky to be alive. Now, my friend's husband surrendered. He laid down on the floor and put his hands on his head. And my friend kind of just woke up in the bed, was like, what's going on? Because they were sleeping when this happened. And I don't know what happened with her kids. They were, I guess, middle school aged at the time. Also, I think her swat was after she talked of unaliving herself on a stream. It was a wellness check, nothing more. Shelly, that's what I think. I think if she had a true SWAT, she would be shitting kittens right now. I am so out of the loop with KJ stuff. I'll watch her Duggar videos. I watch many channels, but I need to find these videos of her being crazy, etc. Katie, they're not that hard to find. But except that she will delete them. But Llama Girl, taking one for the team. Yay, Llama Girl. She puts up the worst clips from these. Just the absolute worst clips of the things that are said. And she did threaten to unalive herself on a live stream. And there was a wellness check as well. There should be. Anytime anybody threatens to unalive themselves, I don't care if it's on live stream. I don't care if it's a friend texting you. I don't care if it is a relative turning to you and telling you, or a coworker. That has to be investigated. They have to make sure that person is not serious about their threat. She is the queen up in this hood, and she is regal too about it. That's what makes me laugh when some people start attacking her, because she's possibly one of the nicest people I've met up here. Her and Renelle Smith, in my opinion, are queens. I mean, they got it going on, both of them. I like the fact that more people are requesting receipts for all this stuff, because she tends to gaslight and throw things out there and expect us just to believe it. Any idea what happened to Carolyn Ironwill? Besides her losing her damn mind? She had posted videos where she threatened to unalive herself, and somebody called in a well check, and she was upset. That was the last thing I had seen of her. And I had watched a few of her videos at that time, and she was having problems with, she'd moved into some guy's house, and she was having problems with him, and she had stopped paying. It was just a rather crazy ball of wax. And I hate to say that about Carolyn. I don't hold anything against her. I think she's kind of ridiculous. She's the reason that one of the reasons why I bought my Magic 8 Ball, because I'm not a big believer in that stuff, especially after having come out of a evangelical, quiverful, charismatic movement where everybody wanted to tell you about yourself. My husband was told he would be a blocker in the Lord. I was told that I would always be somebody that would have the deepest access to the deepest depths of God's glory. What the heck does that even mean? Carolyn is vulnerable, but she's also manipulative. I saw that during this last little spate of things where, I'm not going to pay my rent because this guy has done this. He's taken my clothes I've left in the washer for 4 days out. She is vulnerable, but she brings some of this on herself. And that's the problem with people. You have to really decide where their line is, where they violated and where they haven't. She knows how to use the autism card. Exactly. And I saw her doing that with this. And then I saw her making the unalive. I'm not even in North America. So for me to call, it would have done no good. But I know somebody did call and asked them to do a well check on her. And when they arrived, she said, "Oh, I'm fine. I just been fighting with my landlord." And the police, she'd been trying to get them to come out there and was complaining they wouldn't come out. They wouldn't take her serious. It's quite unfortunate. And it's unfortunate that these things that I'm talking about tonight, they're all playing out on the internet. That's the thing that kills me. It's not like, I've shared with you guys some things I've run across that truly shocked me, like having to struggle with myself to pay for this lady to have surgery. Okay, that was a hard thing for me. I didn't want to do it. I was grumbling and crying and paying for it, if that makes any sense. But I'm not going to tell you the minutia. I'm not going to tell you about the day I got up and we argued because I'm getting up later than he likes. I'm not going to tell you about an argument we had this morning about marble, granite, or porcelain, which was silly. I also am not going to tell you about going to Cope Guanacaste and looking at the kitchen islands and going, Guanacaste wood? Oh, what do we do here? What are we doing here? I'm also not going to say, oh, I'm so upset because we can't agree. I'm not going to tell you in great detail about how freaked out I was by the house buying process and how much I hated our realtor. And I kept having to do tequila shots every time I had to deal with him because he was so difficult. I'm not going to tell you about these things in detail because it's my nonsense. Tarot with Caro. Good luck to her. I hope she does well. She has had problems maintaining a job. She's had problems maintaining safe housing, and that really sucks for her on so many different levels. But at the same time, I don't want to contribute to it because I don't know how much of it is her and how much of it is circumstances. Because one thing I know about people who have issues is their own problems. They don't help. They don't stay. And if you tell them, hey, don't do that, do this. M&M Gate. Yeah, that was her claim to fame. And that was awful, awful of Katherine to do that to her. But even worse was what Katherine did to Sue Elliott. Sue Elliott is another lovely woman who somehow got involved with that. And she was talking to someone about her child had passed from cancer. Dear Katherine saw that and went off the deep end at her and started yelling at her about daring to talk about her dead child. While Katherine was explaining how her son's birthday and Mother's Day were the worst days of her life. I had a chronically ill child. I don't get it. I don't get it. I never felt that way about that child. I still don't feel about that way about that child. Even when that child and I are knocking heads, I don't feel that way about her. It was despicable. It was despicable. And those are the things. I was sitting down the other day thinking, what are the worst things she's done? Well, the Letitia Bias donation thing was one thing that's bad. What she did to Sue Elliott was bad. What she did to Caroline Ironwell was bad, but it's a lesser evil, I think, than some of the other things that have happened and the things that were said. And for her making up a different story about Steve every night of the week, about what actually happened, what was said that made her uncomfortable is despicable. What she's done to me is, and taking my content has been despicable. Those are despicable acts. And I don't know how she can live with herself. But fortunately, she's not me. I'm not her, and I can live with myself just fine. I can sleep just fine as long as I'm not doing too much asthma drugs because they're basically amphetamines. And when that happens, they kick in. Like this evening, I'm not here doing stuff, or I'm out there doing stuff. Speaking of which, I should probably go on and go. I need to reshelve all the books because this guy's making furniture for us. Remade a piece of our furniture, made a bookshelf out of it. And we're very happy with it. We know she lies because she can't keep her story straight. Exactly. Tati's husband. Exactly. Exactly. What she said about Tati's husband was wrong. He was so awful. To a lesser extent, what she said about Todd Chrisley when she accused him of using an SEX tape to control his daughter, that's pretty bad. That is pretty bad. And while I don't know Todd real well and I don't watch his show, he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that would do that sort of thing at all. Not at all. I hope he straightens out this mess with the IRS. It looks like they lied. And he may get a new trial. I'm hoping he does, because thinking that a government agency can lie about you that badly and get you in that much trouble is just frightening to me. Okay, you guys, I am going to go. I got to reshelve all those books. And if I wait for my husband, he'll just throw them up there willy nilly. I want them arranged by color and by subject. I'm anal like that. I like how they look. Yeah, thanks everybody and I'm sorry that this guy turned out to be such a dud. I have never had one that wouldn't take bait before, but this guy would not, even though I know he's a Nigerian. I can prove it by looking at his profile. Okay, y'all have a wonderful evening. Get good rest, and I'll see you maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. I don't know, sometime soon.